Hey everyone, and welcome back. So have a news update for today because we do actually have the October announcements from Arrow. Definitely an interesting assortment. I'm going to get to those in just a moment, but first do have a couple of other announcements to get to, including a couple studio ones. So first up, I'm going to do actually a couple from Paramount. So first coming October 10th is a new 4K release of Rosemary's Baby. Celebrating the film's 55th anniversary, I'm still waiting on some final details as far as what is going to be included in it. So hopefully we do find out those details soon. And also coming from Paramount, slated for October 3rd is indeed Scream 3. You know, we've gotten, outside of the newer ones, we obviously got Scream 1 and Scream 2 in 4K. Now we are getting Scream 3. I assume just like the other ones, they'll have a nice new transfer. Probably poured over all of the extras from before. Not sure if it has any new extras yet, so waiting on the final details. And just like the other ones, there will also be a Steelbook alternative, which you can see right here. And they're also releasing a 3-pack, a 4K 3-pack where you can get all 3 films at once. And that is also slated for October 3rd. So if you haven't picked up any of them yet, that's definitely a good way to get it. And also from Paramount, coming October 10th, is a re-release of the 4K version of the original Friday the 13th, only now in a Steelbook version. Although it looks like the Steelbook kind of matches the Blu-ray Steelbook that they released a couple years ago, but this one will also have a slipcover. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to assume that this is literally just a reissue of the 4K disc they put out before. As you know, that was very much a flawed disc. There was just clipping all around, which is kind of a shame because, you know, not to repeat what I said when I reviewed that release before, but it's the fact that, like, because the base 4K transfer is so good and it got screwed up by, I'm assuming, is just a really bad HDR pass, and I highly doubt it's been fixed. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm not going to pick this up until, unfortunately, someone else is going to have to take the plunge and let the rest of us know if any of that has been corrected. My guess is no, unfortunately. But just in case, I am going to keep my hopes high, or at least moderate. Okay, they're pretty low, but, you know, I'll have some hope at least. And then next up, coming from Warner Brothers, which we've known has been coming, but now we actually have the official announcement, is, of course, a 4K release of The Exorcist coming out September... When is that coming out? September 19th. So actually, you know, not too far off. And I'm still waiting on final details and specs as far as what is going to be included. You know, is it going to be porting over all the extras from previous releases? I assume at least some of them will be here. But the good news is both cuts will be in 4K. Both the original theatrical cut as well as the director's cut. You know, the version you've never seen cut. And there will be a standard release as well as a Best Buy exclusive Steelbook release as well. As soon as I have more details, obviously I'll do a follow-up video on that. All right, and before I get to the Arrow stuff, I do want to make a quick announcement actually on the Shout Factory release of Natural Born Killers, which I covered on a previous video, which is getting a 4K release coming in September 26th. Now, at the time, you know, there weren't too many details, and there were a lot of people like myself wondering, like, are both cuts in 4K? Which, you know, what's going on here? And to my knowledge, they never said anything anywhere, but they did finally release the specs at least. And indeed, the director's cut is the one that is going to be in 4K. Now, the set itself includes both cuts, but the original theatrical cut is on Blu-ray only. But at least the 4K will have the director's cut. And as an extra thing, which I know some people have definitely been wondering, because one of the songs was altered for some of the home video releases from the original theatrical release, and that is indeed the song Burn, the Nine Inch Nails song, which for whatever reason was not included in like some other video releases, will be on this release in both cuts. And it is getting a brand new 4K transfer from the original camera negative. We'll have a 5.1 surround track as well as a 2.0 stereo track. Looks like it's porting over some of the extras from some previous releases, including a commentary track with Oliver Stone, as well as some extras which will be on the theatrical cut Blu-ray. I do keep in mind that the included Blu-rays are Region A locked. So I did want to cover that real quick because I know, you know, a lot of us have been wondering, you know, since that announcement, like, okay, which cut is it? And I'm super happy it is at least going to be the director's cut. I know some people kind of wish both cuts. Yeah, actually, I kind of wish both cuts were as well. But since I do prefer the director's cut, I'm actually, you know, really happy in this case. And again, that is slated for September 26th. And now we move on to the Arrow titles, the Arrow announcements for October, which is interesting mix. So there's one title specifically that I'm super excited about, even though for some of us it's an import title. And the other ones are interesting picks for October. So let's just dive right in. So first up, I'm going to do the US only titles first, and then I'll do the UK only titles. In fact, are any of these multi? I don't think so. Let me double check. No, none of these are actually multi-region. So it's either going to be a US only release or a UK only release for these titles for the month of October. So first up, again, I'm going to do the US titles. So the first one is a Blu-ray release of the movie The Desperate Hours, the original one with Humphrey Bogart, slated for October 17th. Now this is interesting because it has a brand new restoration by Arrow from a 6K scan of the original VistaVision negative. Now the thing about VistaVision was that it was such a high quality format that was used in the 50s mainly, and I think maybe a little bit in the 60s. And it technically, in the digital realm anyway, it is a sort of native 6K resolution format, but it was very, very expensive. So Hitchcock used it on a couple of films. I know like Vertigo especially. But the thing is, it was so expensive that it actually wasn't really used too much. But it was used later on with a lot of like I think ILM used VistaVision and some other effects companies. They would actually film all their effects with a VistaVision camera, knowing that, especially back in the day, once those effect shots were processed, that there would be a generation loss there. So if you shoot it in 6K, technically, but then you're bringing it down to 4K, that's better than shooting things in 4K and then having it go down. But that also begs the question why this isn't a 4K release and just a Blu-ray release if you go through all the trouble of actually scanning it in 6K, but it's neither here nor there. So again, nice release. I haven't seen Desperate Hours in a long time, so looking forward to revisiting it in this release. But again, there is that question of like, I kind of wish it was a 4K release, going through all that trouble. But again, that is slated for October 17th. Next one is another US only Blu-ray release, and that is another one of the Hong Kong releases. And this is the film The Iron-Fisted Monk, due out October 24th. That is a new 2K restoration from Fortune Star. They've been doing a lot of 2K restorations of a lot of their films lately. They have Cantonese, Mandarin, as well as an English dub audio options. And again, that is due out October 24th. And then the next US only release is a Blu-ray and a 4K release, two separate, a Blu-ray release as well as a 4K release, and that is of the Harrison Ford movie Witness. It's slated for October 31st. Not quite the movie I would expect for Halloween, but definitely one I'm excited about because it's a really, really great film and long overdue for a new release. I think the old Paramount release here in the States is like really, really dated at this point, so I'm glad that it is getting a 4K release, and it will initially be in one of their limited editions with, some of the extra bits and pieces. I'm sure, like everything else, there'll be a standard release down the line. But again, it is a separate Blu-ray release and a 4K release. So whichever one you're going for, just make sure you choose wisely. To quote another Harrison Ford movie. So all the extras are the same as far as the specs go. Obviously, it has a 4K transfer in Dolby Vision. It'll have a 5.1 audio soundtrack option, as well as a 2.0 option as well. And it will come with a couple of new extras, as well as porting over some archival extras. And again, it's slated for October 31st. Again, a great release, just not one I was expecting for October. So the next two titles are UK only, but they are 4K releases. Well, I should say it's a 4K release or a Blu-ray release for each of them. So they're not combined. They're just like with Witness, there's a 4K release and a Blu-ray release. Obviously, the Blu-ray releases will be region B locked. So first up, coming October 9th, is a 4K and a Blu-ray release of House by the Cemetery, the Lucio Fulci film. Now, this is an interesting one on a couple reasons here, is that it's actually, because I was like, oh, wow, I wonder how this is going to compare to the Blue Underground release. And it actually says here that it's a 4K restoration from the original negative by Blue Underground. So it's actually going to be the Blue Underground transfer. Just for those of you in the UK who didn't get it, you can now get it. Or for those of you who want to import it, because it is getting one of Arrow's, limited edition sets as well. There's a lot of extras here. There's several commentary tracks. There's a lot of interviews, trailers, TV spots. I mean, this thing is just packed. I need to do a side-by-side with the Blue Underground one to see what's different between the two, if anything. I'm not 100% sure as I'm recording this. But there are 2 versions available, just like they've done with some of their other Italian releases. There's sort of the standard release that you'll be able to get. Well, if you're in the UK, you can get anywhere. For those of us here in the States, if you are looking to get it, obviously you'll have to import it from somewhere. Or there is an Arrow Store exclusive, which will feature the original Italian artwork on the cover, which is cool. They've done that with a couple of the other releases, especially with some of their like Argento ones. And those are the ones I've gone after. And again, this release is slated for October 9th. And again, Blu-ray release, 4K release. Okay, and now we get to the big title. Coming October 23rd is a 4K Blu-ray release and a 4K release of the Hellraiser films, the first 4. Actually, and they're calling it the Hellraiser Quartet of Torment. And again, there will be a 4K release and a Blu-ray release. Obviously, the Blu-ray release will be region B locked. So this thing is packed. I'm not going to go over every single detail, but I'm gonna just point out a couple specifics that I think are cool. So first off, all 4 films are getting brand new transfers from their original negatives, which is fantastic. They'll all be in Dolby Vision, and they'll also have 5.1 surround tracks as well as original stereo tracks. So again, nice thing about it is that it'll have the original theatrical mix as well as a 5.1 surround mix. And it looks, I believe it's on all 4, right? Yeah, all 4 films. Subtitles, the limited edition, which is obviously what's going to be out first, is going to have a 200-page hard book, which is nuts. Just nuts. And again, the nice thing, just kind of glancing over stuff, is that it looks like it's porting over a lot, I don't know about it, everything, but a lot of pre-existing extras, and it does have some new ones as well. Now, one of the interesting things is on Hellraiser 3, it's going to have the alternate unrated version, but there's a catch here. It says that it'll contain standard definition inserts. Now I'm a little interested to see how actually that's going to play out, because I don't mind, especially get an unrated cut. I don't mind that the inserted footage is not on the same par as the rest of the film, especially if it's coming from an inferior source. But it's interesting that's gonna be standard definition, so you're gonna go from 4K to very brief like standard definition shot. It's one thing if you're going from, to Blu-ray, you're going from 1080p to 480p, but to go from, 2160p to 480p, even if it's just for a moment, I don't know. Honestly, I'm still happy that it's doing it, because again, even if it's not perfect, I always want, when possible, to have an unrated cut. And then finally with Hellraiser Bloodline, did I even mention the titles? I don't think I did. Sorry. Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, Hellraiser Bloodline, aka Hellraiser 4. I don't think I mentioned that, so sorry about that. So on Hellraiser Bloodline, there will be an interesting extra. It will actually have the work print version of the film, providing a fascinating insight into how it changed during post-production. Now, I'm assuming that work print version is not going to be 4K. Not sure on the condition of it. I'm hoping it's at least HD, but I am glad that is indeed going to be included in the set. I know I didn't go over every last detail, but I assure you there's a ton of stuff in this set. This is a monster set. And again, it's going to be a 4K set as well as a separate Blu-ray set. And also the 4K set will also have a Arrow Store exclusive alternate cover, which instead of having Pinhead on the cover, actually have the Chatterer on the cover, which is a cool option. But again, that is an Arrow Store exclusive, and that is for the 4K version only. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but also with House by the Cemetery, the 4K version is the only one that you have the alternate cover option for Arrow Store exclusive. And again, that Hellraiser set is due out October 23rd. Again, depending where you live, obviously for those of you in UK, you got plenty of options. For those of us elsewhere, for me here in the States, I did get in my pre-order at Diabolic DVD. Did not want to miss out on this set. Now, whether or not there's a release here in the States, I don't know, because I know here in the States the rights are a little bit more complicated with specifically these 4 films, but even with all of them. Because I know here in the States, like the first 2 are with one company, and I think like 3 and 4, 3 I think is with another company, maybe 4 is with a different company. I know some of the other sequels are with even another company. It gets very, very complicated. So I'm not expecting us here in the States to get a box set like this. We may eventually get one, kind of like what they did before, where maybe we could get the first 2 or possibly 3 films, if Arrow can get the rights to release those down the line. Or you can do what I did and literally just go ahead and plan to just import it, So that's it for the Arrow titles for October. So again, an interesting mix of titles for sure. And at this point, just waiting to hear what Scream Factory is now going to announce for October. Should be hearing something probably within the next week or 2, I would assume. But I think overall, it is going to be kind of a good thing. We're going to have the Exorcist obviously coming from Warner Brothers in September, and Rosemary's Baby and Scream 3, and then obviously, whatever else we have coming, because there should still be a couple of announcements. Again, Scream Factory, but also some of the other companies as well. So definitely wanted to cover all these. So let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them as best I can. But again, I'm kind of limited to any information I have access to. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.